Welcome back. All right, review time yet again. Now we're going to talk about the Battle of Ontario, this, of course, being preseason. So, if your team loses, the game doesn't mean anything. If your team wins, you're winning the cup. Am I doing this right? All right, so that seems to be the theme as we get through the preseason. That Florida-Nashville game, the first game between the two, how does that Florida team qualify as having had 8 veterans? I don't know who the 8 veterans were, but that might be one of the worst rosters I've ever seen for a preseason game. So just throwing that out there. Anyways, but in this game, Toronto and Ottawa, I'm glad I watched this one instead of Florida-Nashville. It's Akhtiamov versus Ullmark. The Sens nearly scored right away, too, right out of the gate. But at 47 seconds, it's Toronto that scores out of the gate. It is Yarncroke. It was a turnover. It was in. It's the first shot of the game for Toronto, and they're up 1-0. Sens press for a response. They recorded the next 3 shots. The Sens then get some pressure 5 minutes in. Stützle to Giroux, near miss. I thought it was a good game for Stützle. I thought he had a good game. I think preseason, you have to look at this on a sliding scale. And I think for it being the first preseason game, Stützle played pretty darn good game here. Quillen then has a rush chance that saved. Pezzetta has a net feed that nearly fooled Ullmark, who had his struggles today, but Ullmark's had struggles in preseasons before. It doesn't really matter as long as he's right by the time October 7th arrives. So shots are 6-5 for Toronto at 9.5 minutes. Good flow to the game. Perron has a rush chance that's held. The Sens draw a power play. Toronto would kill that off. Danford fires one wide on a break out of the box. Ben Danford took 2 penalties in this game by my count. And, so it stays 1-0 Toronto. And then at 12:47, on a turnover, Robertson scores on a one-timer from the left circle. Kampf and Cowan with the assist. So there's Easton Cowan on the board, and Robertson with, I mean, it's preseason, but still it's nice to see him get on the board, right? You don't want to see him struggling in the preseason. Giroux then has a net feed that causes some chaos. Things get pushed in a hold by Akhtiamov, where he was without a glove. The goalies for Toronto had trouble keeping all their gear on in this one. 3:02 left. There's an offensive zone penalty by Gregg, so that puts the Leafs on the power play, and they score on it. At 18 minutes, it's Villeneuve with one pass to screen from the point. Lettieri and Hames with the assists. Makes it 3-0 for Toronto in a period that Ottawa honestly played pretty well, but it felt like anytime it was a good opportunity Toronto had, it just found the back of the net. So that's 3 goals on 8 shots. Thompson then has a rush chance that's caught and held as Ottawa's looking to respond, but it's 3-0 Toronto after the first. Second period, Sogard is in net for the Sens, so Ullmark just gets the 1 period in this one. Apparently that was the plan anyways. It's not like he had a horrible period of hockey, so Travis Green took him out. Early press by Ottawa. Spence, I thought, had a good game. And then at 1:45, Gregg posting in on a cycle off of the face-off win. Basically, it hits the post, and then Gregg puts it in. Batherson and Sebrango with the assists at 1 minute and 45 seconds. Sebrango's one to keep an eye on. He was a restricted free agent this summer. He signed a deal to stay with the team. Do believe it's a 2-way deal, so there's some reason for him to be anxious to maybe break at least the start of the season on that blue line, and considering Jensen's unlikely to start the season, and then there's the potential for another injury on this blue line. Maybe there's an opening for Sebrango to start the season there. Sens look for another. Tkachuk has a wrister that's caught and held. Then there's a near miss for Batherson from in close. And then we had a fight between Rafai and Batherson, which leads to all the punching. Now, I say the word fight, but it was qualified as roughing for both players. There weren't enough punches to qualify as a fight, but they both dropped the gloves, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's a preseason fight, not a full-on, full-fledged fight. They're building their way up to it. So we end up with 2 players from each to the box, and then the referees discuss what they saw, and they change their mind on who's supposed to be in the box and who's not. After discussion, the Leafs come out of that with a power play, which Ottawa fans didn't like. Toronto fans found that delightful. Robertson has a one-timer that's saved. It knocks off Sogard's mask. Then a net feed to Kampf gets picked off. Puck's cleared out. And then with just 2 seconds left, it's 2 seconds left in the power play, Barbolini scores on a net drive after a turnover. Grew with the assist at 5:42. So Barbolini with a goal. It's the first time I've said that name ever in the history of this channel. But yeah, just 2 seconds left in the power play, and he gets a power play marker to make it 4-1. Then there's a delay of game that gives the Sens the power play. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Myers, which is blocked. The power play was killed off without a shot on net, so that delay of game, they're not able to take advantage of it. Teams trade rushes. Both teams are blocking chances at this point. Batherson fires one high on a net drive. The Sens end up drawing a power play. Peksa was in the net. He took over halfway through the period. Perron's denied late, and then at 13-12, Kaliev puts one in from the doorstep just after the power play comes to an end. Greg and Perron with the assists. And of course, Kaliev looking to keep his spot in the lineup for the Ottawa Senators. We know that Kaliev can score. That's something we know from his entire career. The problem is he has had troubles maintaining a job in the National Hockey League despite the shot that he does have. So we'll see if he's able to get into Ottawa's lineup on opening night. Rafai then had a fight with McEwen. This one was an actual fight, so that's 7 minutes of penalties for Rafai by my count. The dislike is ramping up on most whistles. We end up with 2 minutes of 4-on-4. That's usually the referee's way of saying, okay, that's enough, knock it off. Robertson fires one high on a 4-on-4 net drive. We end up with 49 seconds of 4-on-3 for Toronto. It becomes a little bit of a run to the penalty box for everybody here. Sens do kill that off, and then they go to the power play with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. So Toronto returns the favor. They kill the penalty without a shot. So after 2 periods of play, the score is 4-2 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Third period, Tkachuk goes to the box, so the Leafs get their fourth and what would be their final power play. The Sens prevent an early setup. We then get 32 seconds of 4-on-4 before the Senators go to what would be their fifth power play of the game. There's a near miss for Stützle on a cross-ice pass, and then at 4:33, Lycksell scores on the power play from Tkachuk and Batherson. Lycksell, we know, has played in the NHL before. He's trying to get himself a job on the Ottawa Senators as well, and he buries a rebound and close to make it a 4-3 score in favor of Toronto. Then there's a post and out for McEwen on a rush. Kaliev has a near miss. The Leafs rush the other way. Game's opening up, and the fans doing dueling chants. Go Sens, go, go Leafs, go. Because there's a lot of Leafs fans in attendance in Ottawa. Greg couldn't bury one in close with Peksa down. The momentum's building for the Ottawa Senators at this point. Late in the third, we're still seeing chippy play. These teams just don't like each other. It doesn't matter who's wearing these jerseys. When you have Toronto and Ottawa against one another, the dislike is just, it's natural. It happens all the time. It's very much like, say, Battle of Alberta, Montreal, Boston, Vancouver, Calgary. Vancouver and almost every Canadian team, really. Anyways, Clevin exits the game after an awkward fall into the boards. So, we don't know the status of Clevin. At least I didn't hear anything further regarding this. It was late in the game. Probably pulled out of the game out of an abundance of caution. It looks like they were looking at his shoulder. Either way, Clevin didn't finish the game. We'll see what his status is going forward. And of course, since there's 15 games today, odds are tomorrow I'm going to have a board filled with guys who leave games and potential injuries and how long are these guys going to be out, all that fun discussion. The Sens end up drawing their sixth power play. Things get pushed in a hold by Peksa, and then again, Giroux with a near miss. Kaliev's denied. The power play's killed off. 3 shots on net during said power play. The goalie pull happens with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Tkachuk's denied in the final 30 seconds. Peksa then gets a whistle while he's minus a glove and a stick. So like I said, Toronto goalies losing their equipment today. Sens call a timeout with 8.5 seconds left. Whatever they discussed did not end up working out unless they discussed where they were going to get dinner when the game was done, in which case I wish them the best. But Toronto holds on. They win this one 4-3. Fun game considering it's preseason. And the shots show you Ottawa played really well. The score doesn't tell the story. The interesting thing is Ottawa had a more NHL lineup than Toronto did. All of the Toronto big guns were not in the lineup. Ottawa did have Stützle, they did have Batherson, they did have Giroux, they did have some of the other star players as well, like Chabot. So it's interesting. Toronto wins this. Shots on net: 10-8 Ottawa in the first, 11-7 Toronto Ottawa in the second, 14-5 Ottawa in the third. Final shots: 35-20 for the Senators. Power plays: Toronto 2 for 4, Ottawa 1 for 6. The hits: 26-24 for the Senators. Akhtiamov saved 16 out of 17. Peksa saved 16 out of 18. So it looks like the goaltending for the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you just look at this game, pretty good at the AHL level. Ullmark saved 5 out of 8, and then Sogard saved 11 out of 12. Watching this first period by Ullmark, I was reminded of the year that Boston signed him to his contract initially, and Ullmark had a rough preseason, and there were fans screaming that, shouldn't have signed him, he's terrible, what are they doing? And then Ullmark recovered once the games mattered. So it is one of those things where you can take some good from this and you can Find that whether your team wins or loses. It's preseason. So I do think there were some encouraging things for both teams. Toronto, definitely. You saw some depth in the organization show up. Robertson had a decent game. But I was impressed by Kaliev for Ottawa. We'll see if he can continue to be impressive through the rest of the preseason and what his status looks like as more and more veterans get into the lineup as the preseason rolls along. Usually, a team will have its pretty veteran-laden lineup at the end of the preseason. So we'll see about a week and a half from now what the status is for these players on both Toronto and Ottawa. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. I'm anxious for the start of the season. I think it's going to be a great year. And yeah, preseason's kind of fun to watch when you haven't watched hockey in a while. There's some preseason action tomorrow as well. I will review that. One thing I try to do with the preseason, I try to get a look at multiple teams. So I don't necessarily want to cover the same teams all the way through. I like to look at different teams and what those roster spots and those fights for those roster spots are looking like. But anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.